But yeah, so Candace carries on. By this point, I'm back into the Woodline and Creek area, going into the creek. Um, and I'm in the creek, and I hear her stop. And she's talking to what I recognize as another neighbor, and I don't know if they were already outside and picked up the commotion from us, or if she actually went up and got them. But I think they had heard the commotion were already out. Is my speculation there, because it was a normal time of day for them to be outside anyway. And so she's talking to them, and then they make their way to me, and I see them on the roadway, and they're like, "Well, which part do you want to get?" And it made more sense for me to stay in the creek because I had on sandals, um, and they had on, like boots and sneakers, whatever. So they took the hillside, and I took the creek, and we looked for Summer, thinking at that point maybe she was still in there and had fallen or hurt herself or been playing with the boys or something, or and something had just an accident had happened. But everything. But at a certain point, I make my way around. I'm at the main road, but still in the creek, and then I hear, because at this point Candace is at the bottom of Ben Hill. I can see her as it meets the main road and Beach Creek, so I can hear and see her. And I see Andy kind of pull in. I hear voices. I know it to be him. I know he kind of already knows. But then he starts coming down the main road, and I holler at him. He stops, and I'm like, "Summer's missing." And he's like, "I know." And I was like, "Well, I thought that was you, but I just wanted to be sure." And he starts going up and down the main road towards Mount Carmel Free Will, looking for her. Dawn is seconds behind that. He's done there. So they both arrive somewhere around 6:30. Andy before Dawn. At this same point, the first two responding cops come in. Um, and you could hear them before they get there. We could hear them before they get there. And I could already see the boys at the backside in the field, um, towards Simpson and a fence and that sort of thing. And that's eventually where I made my way to and talked to them. But um, and then it took a while for the third to respond. So I think it was the third cop I caught that day, coming in, and he was in an SUV, and I told him about the scream. um, but yeah, so, and I didn't really, Candace says she was driving up and down the roads and see other, but I didn't really see her drive up and down the roads, and I know that she was mostly stopping at other neighbors and things when she did leave Ben Hill that day, and talking to them for a second, telling them Summer was missing. But I didn't see her drive up and down the main road or towards the churches or anything. So, I don't know.
I'm right here, Jody. So that's interesting. I've never heard you say that before, that you never saw Candace driving around. So when exactly did you hear her start yelling? Because I don't know, it might have escaped me while I was listening. I'm
It
a
was right
little
around 6, and I can give you the text message. It pinpoints an exact time, but it was right
uh-huh.
around 6.
So right
Um,
around 6, she started yelling for Summer.
yeah.
So Don, wait a minute. Okay, so that would give about like 25, 26 minutes or so before she called. Um, what time again did Don get home?
They had to pull in around 6:30.
He got there at 6:30. So
I'd
3
say
minutes.
around. That's my estimation because I know how long it takes Andy to get from where he works and where
Hold
he
on.
was at that day last we talked.
6:30, he and Candace, right, called the
And it
police
may
at
have been like
6.
6:02, 6:09, because I know it's not like right there at the exact thing, but it was somewhere right there at 6.
Then that would mean he got home before they called the police.
Well, no, because the police come in right at the same time, and there's no way they could have got there. I mean, It usually takes, I mean, look, they got there. It was a good response time that day. Let me tell you, because sometimes you wait as long as 2 hours.
That doesn't make any sense, Jody Sue. And I'm not questioning you. I'm actually like sitting here listening to you thinking, hey, Janet, welcome to my membership. Thank you for joining, hon. So I thought it was 6:26. Either way, okay, say the call was at 6:23. If Don, oh my goodness. So let's say Don got home. No, because he said he was on the phone with Candace the whole way home.
No, if their signal was cut out, especially, and that never made sense to me because Blair's Gap, which is, see, you all have a different pattern thinking he would be coming in a different way that day, hauling ass. And trust me, I can drive those roads at like over 100. Yeah. I can drive those roads, but you have to know them. And I'm gonna be honest with you, you're not the best drivers over there. But we used to race them. We used to shut them down and race on them. So anyway, responsibly, that way we didn't kill other people, you know. And back in the day, they were just that barren, so you could kind of do that. But anyway, I know the route he was taking from where he was at working that day, and you all have the entirely wrong route. I know that trucking company has been a player in some of your all series. I just, you know. Anyway, but the thing is that I mean, it's possible to get there and that, but I just, either way, but the signal cuts out through there. I don't know how he would stay on the phone with her the whole time.
Well, I'm more wondering, listen, I've always kind of wondered about them being able to keep that phone call running the whole time, right? She said Don got home between 6. Well,
It's just not possible.
Right, without the call dropping. Hazelnut. Yeah. Don, she believes that Don got home between 6 and 6:10 or 6:30 the latest.
No, he had to get there around 6:30, and he arrived just I think a minute or two after Andy did. I mean, they were right there
yelling at 6.
Yeah, like Candace I had the message, like I'll give you an exact time.
I don't mean to, we might be on a delay, Jody Sue. Like I might be a little bit delayed because I notice it takes you a few seconds to hear me. So just so you know, I'm not talking over you. So Candace starts yelling for Summer right about 6 o'clock. And then you are saying that you're pretty certain. So Andy got home and then Don came pretty much almost like very shortly after.
They were both in the roadway at the same place, almost at the exact same time. At the same time, the cops were coming in the first two. At this point, by the time I talked to Andy in the roadway, right there, and he's still in the car after he talked to Candace, but I made sure that he knew what was going on. One of the first cops was already, I believe, pulled back into Simpson back there, and I had eyes on the boys too. So the cops come in. Right, I mean, it all collided right there. Andy, Don, and the first two cops. And it takes Andy on average, and so that's why I kind of have time, but it had to be around 6:30 that, you know, the cops, Andy and Don show up.
Okay. Well, that's helpful a little bit in terms of this story about Don and Candace being on the phone the whole way home from work. Summer, okay, so Candace starts yelling for Summer at 6 o'clock. She calls the police, or Don calls the police at 6:23 or 6:26. I could have sworn it was 6:26, but it doesn't matter. it does matter,
Because
but
she was hanging up with Dawn. When I talked to her, she said she was calling the police. And that's kind of how you know it was super
so
serious.
she called.
Because I knew with DCS involved and the risks she was taking and losing the other kids and other, that her calling the police, that meant it was super dire, but she said she was hanging up and she was calling the police. So that wouldn't have been but a minute or two after the Hills. So somewhere around, yeah, I mean, it didn't take the cops 15, 20 minutes to get in there after the call was made. But if she called them when she told me she was calling them, or she called them at the top of the hill, like she said, I don't understand, because they always have the call coming in police well after 6. But she says that she called before she ever left the top of the hill. But when she gets to the bottom, she tells me she's calling the police. And there's a discussion between her and Dawn. So who's calling them again? Why? I don't know. I mean, I just know that I hear them say that they called before they left the top of the hill. But yet I heard her hollering for Summer up there and talking to the boys. And then I hear she's obviously on the phone with Dawn coming down. She tells me she's going to get off the phone with Dawn and call the police. So I don't know when the call to the police actually transpired. But, I mean, there's no way that the police call would have been made at 6:20 something and them getting there around 6:30. And I know that had to be the time that Andy came in, because I know what it takes him to get there. That's why I went ahead and headed down, so, and I know how long it would have taken me kind of to get to that point in the road looking the way I was, and my neighbor. So, it's, for me, it's around a 6:30 where everybody kind of collides at once. I think that call to police had to be made well before it, because there's no way they're getting in there in 5 or 6 minutes, especially not 2 of them. Not going to happen. But there was a good response time no matter when they were called that day. Trust me.
Mary says, Dawn's steps, Mary says, wait, I'm confused. She said she heard Donnie telling Candace on the phone, you're telling me that someone took my baby, then 10, 15 minutes later, Donnie arrives, ? This is what I'm trying to put together too, Jody. So if we could just put our heads together for just a moment, I want to go back through with
I'd
you.
say it took me a good 20 minutes after that point to get there.
20 minutes after, about, like, in your,
at that point, yeah, like, I mean, it was 6:30ish that they all had to collide at that point at the end of Ben Hill. At the same time, it was cops, Andy, Dawn. I mean, it had to be around 6:30ish mark for me in my own head, but